Each of us will be defined by our actions in the coming battle. Stand fast. Stand strong. Stand together.
The Command Bro Elite are a blackout reconnaissance operative specialist commando that seeks out high priority targets and specific mission objectives during woodball and military scenarios.
Our last city falls, but we will not fall. We will prevail.
Welcome to our first official Command Bro Tactical Mission Command station, just for you. Today what we're going to do is teach you how to be a operative for the Command Bros, or just all out begin paintballing. Alright, there's going to be a couple things that you need. We'll start off with the basics, and then we'll go into a little bit more extra things you want to upgrade your tactical equipment, or maybe, you know what I'm saying, different things that you will need out in the field. So you always want to be prepared. Alright, so the first thing that we need is uniforms. Now, we can go into the whole uniform as far as formidable to be a Command Bro, but all in all, you want to have loose gears, your elbows protection, and a face mask. So we're going to go through everything that I personally use for the Command Bros, and maybe this will help you start getting your gear to get ready. All right, let's do it. Okay, first we're going to deal with when you want to go paintballing. You really don't have to go out and buy all this gear immediately. Okay, this is just for people who's like beginners or intermediate. I'm going to show you how to get, you know, the best bang for your buck. And, you know, if you want to start your own tactical squad, I'm going to show you how we did it. And then you can either maybe one day become a Command Bro, start your own thing. All right. So the first thing we did was we went out and got the uniforms. We started off with BDUs, pants. This cost you about $27 to $30 at your Army surplus. You can get them online. We go for the digital woodland camouflage because it gives us the best, you know, stealth option when we're in the woods. And Command Bros are in the woods. Like what we like to do is we don't run up and attack our opponents. We like to go and do special missions. You know, we're in the woods. We're stealthy. We stick as a squad base. So I'm going to show you how we do the operatives and all the equipment that we use. All right, now we get past the pants. Another thing with the paintball, you don't know what type of climate you'll be in, so you always want to have an option or a shirt that fits the environment that you're in. Since it's you know, about summertime, I usually use my combat jersey or my combat shirt. This is a digital camo combat shirt. It has a you know, cloth front, it breathes easily, but it also has, you know, the digital camouflage on your arms for protection when you're in the woods. You're going to need this because there's a lot of sticky bushes or, you know, creepy critters that you really don't want crawling on you, and you don't want to actually come home the next day and have a rash because your arms weren't covered. All right, so we use this for the summertime, and when it's a little bit chillier, you know, I usually use my BDUs, which I'm wearing right now. And this is basically the same thing, but the entire material covers overall. So you want to make sure that you get a good pair of pants, you know, and a good shirt depicting on the climate, because you don't want to overheat out there. Now, when you run a scenario game, it can run from anywhere from 8 to maybe 2 days, or 8 hours to 2 days, depending on the scenario. So you want to make sure you have all the equipment that you possibly need, so you're not, you know, out there stranded missing something. It's the last thing that you want to do. All right, now once we get past the BDUs and the jerseys, you want to make sure that you have a good pair of boots. Now, I recommend tactical boots. These can run you anywhere from $50 to $100. I personally went with the Welcos because this is what the troops use. All right, and basically it's wick, so it's water protection. It's durable, and you want your feet dry at all times. That's the most important thing for scenario woodland paintballing is your feet, because you're on them the entire time, 24/7. Even if you sit down, your feet are touching the ground. So you want to make sure you get a good boot with a nice tread and good traction. You know, because you're going to be climbing through all types of terrain and you don't know what to expect. So this is very important. And more important than anything else, as far as your uniform, is your footwear. All right, so make sure that you keep that noted and understand exactly what you need. All right, from there, we're going to go to headgear. All right, when it comes to headgear, I got a couple options. Personally, this is your standard. This is my helmet. One of them. I have about 3 of them. I got 3 different systems I use. The other one is pretty much the same, but this is the one I use the most. and it has an HD visor on it, which illuminates, the outside. If you're fighting a night scenario, this is great because it illuminates your vision so you can see a little further. And during the day, it cuts the glare out of your eyes and it makes everything a little bit more crystal. To me, the only thing I have a problem with, your paintball helmets is, to me, sometimes they're a little bit bulky. When I look down at sights, this inhibits me from actually looking down, so it makes me shoot from the hip a little bit more. But I have another system I use, and it's a cage system. It's a mesh steel cage. I use this with a balaclava head cover. And what that is, you might have seen this on SWAT or maybe Call of Duty or whatever it might be. Basically, it's a sheer head cover that you put over your head first. Your eyes are exposed, but you can breathe through it. All right. Now with the mesh, it's a steel mesh. If you get hit in the face with it, it'll take away the impact, but the paint may explode and hit your face. That's why I wear the balaclava head cover. And of course, a decent pair of aviator or ski goggles. This fits very well with me, and it also allows me to wear my boon hat, which I'll get into a little bit later. All right, once you get past the headgear, whether you want to use the steel cage or your traditional paintball helmet, all right, you're going to be carrying equipment out there, all right? And if you ever paintball before, you understand that it's loaded and uses paintballs. And the more that you have out in the scenario, the less time you have to spend going back and getting more paintballs. So my position as a command bro is a gunny. So basically what I deal with is most of the ammunition. So in order for you to carry paintballs, you have these things called paintball pods. Okay? What the pods do, depending on the one you have, I usually carry the ones with 150. Alright, they come in usually clear, but depending on the harness that you use, what's exposed, I prefer to use the black or the smokes, because if we're in the woods, you don't want that white, giving you away. This actually helps with your camouflage. It goes well with whatever camouflage that you're usually using. Alright, now, once you have your pods, you're going to wonder how you carry out. When you have your pods, they have 2 or 3 different systems. Alright, the basic system is a back carrying pods, holds up about 600 rounds, 4 ball tubes, 150 each, which is 300, 600, and it also has a spot, the remote to hook up to your air tank, and there's several different air tanks, and I'll get to that next. But this is your basic harness that comes with a kit if you can buy a whole package with the paintball harness and the helmet. This is one that basically a lot of people use. You can get this from anywhere from $20 to $30, depending. Sometimes they even come with the pods in it. I do recommend this. It does help you a lot, because normally a pod hopper only holds about 200 rounds. You don't want to run back and keep refilling. So you want to at least keep the 200 in you in your pod hopper, and at least about 300 on your back. Now personally, since I'm a gunny, and what that means is I'm pretty much responsible for a lot of ammunition for all my crew members. So when they run out, I always have extra pods on me. Personally, I carry about 10 of them, which brings me to my harness. I use a tactical harness. Some use a tactical vest. As you can see, it is the digital woodland. You want to try to keep your uniform and your harness the same colors. It holds the pods in the back. I am going to be trying this one for my first scenario game in Three River Paintball, and see how this system works, and see how well it keeps me ammoed up in the field. Now, most of your harnesses and your vest have this thing called a camel pack pouch, and what this is for is you can buy a bladder which holds anywhere from 1 liter to 2.5 liters of water. You slip this into the pouch, and then you fill this with water, and it comes over your shoulder, and then you have a spout from where you drink it. This is very important because you want to stay hydrated at all times when you're in the field. You're going to be running around, you're going to be sweating, you're going to lose a lot of water. Make sure you fill this up with only water, no more, no less. Don't put any type of fruit drinks in it. And personally, what I do is I use distilled water. I go out and buy a gallon of that. You know, I pour it in here. That just keeps any debris that comes out of faucets, and it's easier to clean. It won't corrode. You know what I'm saying? It's quickly. So that's very important, the hydration and being out in the field. Which brings me back to the tanks. All right, when you go and buy your paintball, usually your paintball gun will come with a 20-ounce CO2 tank. All right, you can use this. It works well, and basically anywhere you go, they will have to fill this up with liquid CO2, and you'll get about maybe 150, maybe 200 rounds out of this. The only problem that I have with the CO2 tank is it's liquid, and when it transpires to gas, it freezes the line up if you have like a lot of shots being fired. So this is great for recreational if you're not shooting a whole bunch of shots. But personally, I go with the HVA, which is a high pressure air tank. This one's a little bigger. It's a 68. And I use the Gorilla. Now, high pressure air, you don't get any negative reactions as far as the lines freezing up. It's always sort of on the same regulation when you shoot the paintballs, and you don't lose as much power. Also, when you're going to refill your tank, you don't have to take it off your gun or pull out the remote. There's a nice little nozzle. They just stick it on, fill it back up, and you're back in the game. I go with the 68 because it's a little bit larger. You can get about 1,000 rounds out of this. But this is an aluminum tank. This is made by Gorilla. It's kind of heavy. So, you know, this will run you about 50 bucks. This might come with your paintball. You can get it for about 20 or 30 bucks. But what you really want is to have one made out of like a carbon fiber. Extremely light, does the same amount of job work, and it takes a lot of, you know, weight off your load. So that's something that I'm going to invest in. Eventually, that's going to run me about somewhere anywhere from $130 or $160. But like I said, you don't have to get all this stuff immediately. This is something that you want to work up to, you know, and get your gear correct. All right, another thing as far as the tank, if you're running with a tank and a harness, you're going to need something called a remote. This is really important because without your remote, you're going to be screwing your tank on to your gun, and it's going to make your gun that much heavier. So it's a lot easier if you have a remote line that hooks up to your tank, this hooks up to the bottom of your gun, and gives you a lot of more free play with your gun, you know. And what's on this remote is basically it's a wire, you know, and it's sort of like bungee. And this, what you see right here, is called a remote cover. This is something that you can buy in the store. You can actually make one of these, and one day we'll do a video to show you how you can make your own remote so you can match it with your camouflage and save a couple dollars. We're all about, you know, trying to do paintball, having as much fun as possible without breaking your pockets, because, you know, it can be expensive. So make sure you get a remote. This can run you anywhere from $20 to $35. So I've seen some of them for 50 bucks. I don't know why they're so expensive, because they all pretty much do the same thing. But you can always shop online and find one that fits your price range. Okay, now once you have your helmet, your pants, your tanks, your gun's operational, you want to go for a little bit more protection. Okay? So this is where we're going to go with the knee pads and elbow pads. You can get these in a kit where it comes with both of them together, or you can buy them separately. I've seen kits as low as 20 bucks for both knee pads and elbow pads, and I've seen knee pads for $20 to $60 by themselves, and vice versa for the elbow pads. Best do what you can, you know, best fit your budget, and that way you can always have protection. It's very important. A lot of people might tell you, oh, you really don't need them. Trust me, you do need the knee pads, if anything. The elbow pads might be a little optional depending on, you know, your field operations, but the knee pads are a must. You will go prone. You will be down on one knee, and I'm telling you, the ground is not forgiving. It doesn't care. There's rocks, there's pebbles, there's sticks, and it will dig into your knees, and it will hinder your movement, because you'll second guess what your moves are, because you know you don't want to get hurt. So if you want to go all in, you know what I'm saying, and be a real a command bro, you definitely need these knee pads. All right, this is a must. Now, after we get past the knee pads, we're going to talk like head wraps, neck covers, What I personally use are schmucks. You've probably seen these. You know, you can get them at the Army store. You've seen them on television. I use these for wraparounds, like to protect my neck, or I can even wrap up, like, you know, my entire head. And it's real simple. Basically, I just wrap it around my neck. This is like the basic way. Keep you protected, because if you want a shot in the neck with a paintball, believe me, it stings. And you have a nice, you know, side artery here, you know what I'm saying, that it actually causes a little bit of problems, you know what I'm saying, if you bruise that up. So it's always good to have, you know, some type of neck protection on, you know, regardless of the heat or the cold, you know, you want something to protect your neck. So schmucks are cool too, you know what I'm saying. A lot of people recognize them because of troops use them, you know, we're overseas, and this is like the new thing. You don't necessarily have to use one of these. You could use, like a scarf. I wouldn't ask for anything with flowers on it or anything, but you know, as long as your neck is protected during the paintball scenario game, that's always a good thing to do. Okay? Now that we got that out the way, another part is part of your protection. You want our gloves. Very important. Now there's different types of gloves. I like the ones with the paddings on the bottom because, you know, you don't know what you're grabbing and pushing. There's also ones that have like a polyurethane or a hardened type of shell for your knuckles, because when you get shot in the hand with the glove, it feels like you was shot in the hand with the glove. I was playing one time, somebody shot me in the finger, it almost felt like somebody blew it off. But you know, you have very thin skin here, nerves and bones are very close, so it will have an impact. So it's best to have some gloves. And I also have forearms grips. I made these, I camouflaged them myself, but basically this is one of the cheapest ways to protect your forearms. If you're laying on the ground, you know, and you got your elbows or these are exposed, you got a short sleeve shirt, these are always great. You can wear your gloves underneath them, and basically all these are like lineman forearm pads. And I took them, I got some handkerchiefs or some bandanas, and I camouflaged this to match our sequence so they would be more operational and feel for me. So this is easy to do. We'll have a video on how to do this later on, but that's just something to think about and look into. Okay? This is one of my secret weapons. Toilet paper. You should always keep a roll of toilet paper in a scenario game. Now, it doesn't have to be on you. You know what I'm saying? It can, you know, be tucked in your pocket, but you never know. Who knows? Even if you have the porta potties out there, you know, sometimes it's not quite where you want to be going to the bathroom, but that's the only option. I guarantee you this will be your lifesaver. This will be what stops you from holding it in and letting it out. So make sure you have some toilet paper, you know, and it doesn't have to be a whole roll, you know, you just snatch it up, put it in a plastic bag so it's protected. But this is very, especially if you're a female paintballer, you know, you want this. So, you know, because there are females on our team, and this is like a lifesaver. This changes everything. So make sure that you have at least a roll of toilet paper in a plastic bag to keep it dry so no bugs are getting into it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to roll it and keep it from getting moist, because you know what happens when it gets moist, it expands and you can't use it anymore. All right, so we got past the pods. We got past the boots. This is my boon hat. Now, when you wear your paintball uniform and your face mask, your head is exposed. All right. Now, it's always good to have some type of hat on, or some type of scarf over your head. Number one, it's exposed to the sun. You know, it's just beaming down on your head. You want some type of protection for that. Number two, it absorbs a lot of your sweat. You know, because you're going to be running around. If you have a hat or some type of you know, strap over your head, it's going to absorb a lot of that sweat and stop it from running to your eyes. I use a boon hat because it breaks up, you know, my image, you know, saying the silhouette and the bush. That's what the boon hats are for. But you really can't use these with a standard paintball mask. I use my other system with the mesh and the goggles to use this. It also helps protect my ears because it comes down over my ears and it keeps the sun out of my face, so my mask won't reflect a lot. You know, it keeps a nice, you know, shadow on it. So you might not want to use a boon hat. You might want to use a baseball hat. You can turn it backwards. It's going to give you a little protection for the back of your neck. Plus, you have the strap. You're pretty much protected from any real harm out in the paintball field. Okay. Now, last but not least, is this guy right here. This is called a squeegee, and basically, if you're out in the field, you want to have one of these in your pocket somewhere, you know, on your side, in your arm, somewhere. You're going to need this, because if you're in the middle of a firefight and the ball busts in your gun, you're going to have to clean it. So if you can get covered, it's nice to break this out, screw the barrel out, jam it in, clean it out, and then go back to the firefight. If not, then you're going to be chopping paint back and forth, and your gun's going to get gummed up even more. So you definitely want a squeegee as far as out in the field, in your kit, in the car. I keep mine on me because you never know what's going to happen. And if you have the good paint in your paintball, it's not oil-based, they're quite relatively easy to clean. You know, you can throw it in the wash real quick, just to let it air dry, and that's what I do for squeegee, but you definitely will need this. All right. Now, when we're in the field, there will be a lot of bugs. This is one of the bug sprays that I use. You can get this in a store, any appliance store, or even hardware store. It's going to run you about $6 to $8. You're going to need this. You spray your clothes down before the day before, or right before the event. You can also use this one on your skin, I believe. Some of them you can't. So, but if you only do scenario games like once a month, it's all right. By the end of the day, you wash it off, you should be cool. But you definitely want to use a off spray, a bug off system, because you will be in the woods, and that happens to be Bugland, USA. So definitely keep this in your pouch. You should only use it maybe once or twice, you know, before you start playing a game, and then there's usually a lunch break around 12, 1 o'clock. You can go back and spray it up a little bit. It will help you recover the next day. Trust me on that. Depending on how hard you go in, there's going to be more than injuries. There's going to be bug bites. And this is going to stop a lot of that. So make sure you get an off spray. Now, if you're in the field and you run like us, the command bros, tactical, you definitely are going to need this, a radio. Without it, I don't know what you're doing out there. You're not a command bro. You're just running around shooting people. You want to stay in contact with your base. You want to stay in contact with your teammates. And also, I would advise, if you do have a radio and you go out to buy a radio, make sure that you can get a mic. You know, there's 2-prong and there's 1-prong mics that you get, and there's like a little hole right here that you can put a mic. You can hang your radio on. That way, when you're in the woods and your fellow operative is telling you that you have about 3 enemies on your way over, you're not hearing a whole bunch of pings and pop-pops and giving away your location. That's not what you want. You just hit the button, you tell them, they'll read into your ear, and then next thing you know, you make the kill. Radios are very essential in a scenario game, because that's exactly what it is, a scenario. It's a war-type game. There will be generals, there will be XOs, executive officers. They will have missions for you. They will have on-the-fly missions depending on where you're at. And if you really want to feel like you're in the game, you definitely need a radio. This is Battlefield Paintball, that is. So, this will actually give you played Battlefield before. It's fun when you're playing, with people who don't talk, but when you play with people that do talk, then you get the full feel of the game. But this is just Battlefield real life. You definitely need a radio. They come in sets of 2 and 4, and even sometimes 3. You can get them anywhere from $20, like the real cheap ones, which don't have the mic on it. But if you really want a nice one, you're going to be paying $50 or more for it, and it's worth it. What you can do is get with your partners, come together, pitch in on a radio system, and then it'll heighten the whole experience of paintball, tactical paintball, that is. All right. So, as far as your gun, paintballing would not be paintballing without your standard paintball gun. And as you can see, this isn't really a standard paintball gun, but it is. This is one of the basic bottom versions. This is the Project Salvo made from Tippmann. This is one of my first tactical paintball guns, and I enjoy it simply because you can upgrade it. It has a real military feel to it. You know, you can. Right now, it's just a regular automatic. You pull the trigger, a paintball comes out. The faster you pull the trigger, the faster the balls come out. But it's limited. You can also get this gun and you can upgrade it to make it, you know, semi-automatic, 3-round burst, or full automatic. You know, this is the gun you really want to get. If not this specific gun, but there's like a deal between U.S. Army and Tippmann that they make U.S. Army guns. If you want to make the game feel more military, look into Tippmann, because they have a lot of nice guns at a decent price. Now, you can go out and get a regular paintball gun. It's like a speedball gun, and the trigger isn't like this. It's a little longer, and they hit it like this, and it's like rapid fire. And, you know, it works well. Any paintball gun you can have in the field, whether it be you know, a Tippmann, there's a Rat Force, there's a Dam. Those are very expensive. Or they have the Spiders, which are speedball guns, which are kind of expensive also. But if you want a nice tactical gun, start with Tippmann. They have a nice variety of guns. Like this is called the Project Salvo Commando. Lieutenant Bricktop, he runs with the Alpha Elite. You can build the guns how you want them. So it's something that you can start off if you have like a nice hobby. And you know, paintballing isn't just for, you know, kids or grown. It's a family sport, you know. So you can also get your children into it. You know, get them a gun and they'll build up upon it, and the gun sort of kind of grows with you. I named my gun. This is Ruckus. I would suggest you name your gun. You know what I'm saying? This will be your best friend in the field. You're going to make sure that Ruckus is clean. And when Ruckus is clean, he likes to splatter and shoot people up. So I make sure that we know, me and him have this relationship. I upgraded this one a little bit with, you know, a speed feeder and a low profile hopper. Ruckus is kind of heavy. Okay, so another thing that I incorporated in Ruckus was a sling. You're going to want to get one of these. Alright, now this is a 2-point sling, which means there's 2 points, there's one in the back and the mine's is on the side, and it helps your gun hang when you're walking through the woods, because my gun weighs a good 7 pounds, you know, and after 20 minutes, you know, when you're not shooting, it tells you, I weigh 7 pounds, and it starts getting heavy, you know, so you want to get a sling of some sort. This is a 2-point sling now. This is my first 2-point sling, so I'm still kind of working with it. The one, if you're a beginner, I would say get a 1-point sling. There's a lot less play, and it's sort of kind of, you know, self-understanding. You know, it's just 1 point that hangs from you, and you can use it from there. This one, there's a lot of strap movement, this, that, and the other. Maybe when you get a little bit more better, even me, I'm still working with this. But you're definitely going to want a sling, because the more you upgrade your gun, the more weight is going to go to it. You're not going to want to take the upgrades off because they're cool or they actually function. So, you know, you're definitely going to want this. And it's going to help you in the field fight too. It makes you feel a little bit more operational too. There will be a video that we'll do later to show you how to upgrade your gun, even put a camera on your gun for relatively cheap, so you can have an even more action-packed game that you can go home and watch later on with your fellas. All right, after you get your Tippmann gun, a good idea is to get something like this. This is a Tippmann parts kit. As you can see, you can get it for about $12.99, you know, at a store like Dunham Sport or a paintball store. And basically what it has is essential parts in here. If anything should go wrong, you got the parts to fix it. Okay, now that I explained my gear, my tactical setup, and how the basic command bro operative, his equipment that he should have, there's maybe a couple things that I had missed. If I did, don't be afraid to go to YouTube. YouTube is your friend. One of the paintballers that we've learned a lot from is Wolf from the Wolf Den. We thank you a lot because you helped us get our stuff together and enjoy paintballing as a sport that it should be enjoyed by everybody. So big shout outs and big props to you. We're also want to give a shout out to Three River Paintball, which is happening scenario June 6th. That's the D-Day scenario. And this is what the game's all about, you know, like, they're having it starts at 8 in the morning and ends at 5 in the afternoon. You know, the reenactment of D-Day. So there'll be generals, there'll be missions. You know, this is what we live for. This is what we thrive for. And as we do it, you're going to do it, because we have cameras. We're going to bring you into us. You know what I'm saying? We're going to let you see how we roll. There's also another place called First Strike Paintball. Out in Blairsville, I believe, they have overnight games. They last for 2 days, and you go out there, you pitch your tent, you paintball in the woods till about 10 o'clock, and then after that, you go inside indoors, and you can paintball all night, and then the next day you go back out and you start paintballing again. Paintball is a very, very fun hobby to have. It's a motivator. It helped me get back in shape. Not that I was too far out of shape, but I'm sitting around playing Battlefield. You know what I'm saying? Which is a great game for me. But once I found out I could actually be in the battlefield, I started going back to the gym. Because, when you're out there in the woods, man, it's real work. Don't think that it's going to be running around. You'll be tired. So you're going to want to get in shape, and that's going to motivate you, And then you're going to bring your kids in because they're going to want to say, oh, my God, Dad and Mom be paintballing. Yeah, my woman paints ball with me. She's a technical sport, So this is something for you, to us, from us to you. We want you to be a command bro. We want you to be a blackout reconnaissance operative specialist. Be one of us, you know what I'm saying? Join us at Scenarios. We'll tell you where we're at so we can meet you. Tell us where you're at so we can come play with you. And then at the end, we'll ask you, what do you do? Good man, bro.